In this brief demo, I'm going to show you how to make what looks like a 3D sphere in a PNG with a clear background so that we can use this graphic inside of one of our Gamesalad exercises. I'm going to start by creating a new file. And right here, we do want to customize it to be 128 by 128 pixels. I'm just going to say that's what's required for the Gamesalad exercise. So make sure you're on pixels over here in the units, and then set the width to 128, and then the height to 128 as well. And make sure your resolution is set to pixels per inch at 72. And leave it at RGB color. And down here under background content, make sure it's set to transparent. Okay, so transparent background, 128 by 128 pixels at 72 pixels per inch. And then we'll click Create. And that's going to give us this little box. And I can zoom in here, which I will with my Command plus on the keyboard. And you can see here we're starting with a layer that has a clear blank background. So I'm just going to make this green. So I'll use a light green for my foreground color and a dark green for my background color. And I'll set those in the color chips now. So I'll click on the foreground color and I'll just drag my hue slider down into the greens here. And let's say this is going to be my highlight color. So I'm going to go very high up here in these light areas. What I should copy or take note of is the hue number here, which is 126. Because I'll go to my background color and apply that same hue and just use a darker version of it. So 126 is the number of the hue. I'll click OK. And I'll click on the background chip and go back to the hue box and type in 126, hit my tab key or my enter key, and then just pick a color in this range because the hue doesn't change in here. And I'm going to go for a much darker version of that green right there. Okay, so I've got my highlight color and my shadow color. And you can see up here, I happen to be on the gradient tool. You can see how that gradates there. So if you're not on the gradient tool, actually, we need to create our circle first. Sorry, let me click on the elliptical marquee tool. And here we just want to make a perfect circle. So go up to the extreme left corner, click and drag, and then hit your shift key and hold that down until you can fill that space with the circle, like you see here. And then let go. And now we'll go to our gradient tool. And we need to make a radial gradient. So this is linear. This is radial. You'll also need to ensure under the settings inside of the basics choices foreground to background. So if it's not set like that, just select it and hit your return key. And now we're going foreground to background with a radial blend, normal mode 100%. So when I'm on here, I can start to click where I want the highlight, and I'm going to click it in the upper left sort of quadrant, if you will. And just drag that down to the edge, which gives me this nice sphere looking ball. And if I zoom out, you can see that looks quite nice there. It looks quite smooth and round. So that's what we need to do. I'm going to deselect right now. And I just need to export this. I'll just remind you, actually I can click on my rulers here as well with my option key down and just choose pixels. But I'll remind you this is 128 by 128 pixels. So I can do a quick export, File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to click that and then just select where I'm going to save this. So I think in my desktop, you know what, I'm just going to save it in my Loyalist folder on my desktop. But make sure I give it a name. I'll just call it green underscore ball .png, save. And that's it. And when we go into our Gamesalad exercise, we'll just import this graphic. The reason we went 128 pixels specifically to Gamesalad is that when you bring in a graphic, for some reason it brings it in at half that size. Even though we could change it in Gamesalad, we ultimately want this to be 64 pixels, so that sort of addresses it all in one shot. So that's your mini Photoshop exercise leading to your Gamesalad exercise.